One of the most common questions I get about CyberDeck is, what is it used for? And how does it fit into my life? Today I'm going to be answering that question, and we're going to be diving in from the simplest to the most advanced. Before we dive into this video, take a moment to subscribe. Once we get to 1,000 subscribers, we're launching the kit that allows you to build your own CyberDeck at a fraction of the cost. The question, what is it used for, is a difficult one to answer in some aspects because it can be used to do so many things. So I want to go from the simplest to the most complex, and today we're going to do that, and we're going to start off by talking about the fact that it's just a regular computer. Now, it's not going to do Photoshop or gaming, but it'll send emails and watch Netflix and most of the things that people do on a computer on a regular basis. It has Wi-Fi on it, it has Bluetooth, so you can connect Bluetooth up to your headphones and listen to music on it, or you can connect it to a hotspot on your phone, and let's say you're camping somewhere, you can send that email that you forgot to send before you left. It has the added benefit of being waterproof and shockproof, so you can close it up and throw it with the rest of your camping gear, and it can just come along as a contingency. Offgrid Internet. Before I dive into this one, I want to simplify it by taking us back into time to the late 80s and early 90s when the internet was just kind of in its infancy. Back in those days, there was no website that you typed in that went to some server that was, 100 feet underwater with millions and billions
and billions and billions and billions
of data. What there was some guys in their house who had put information on servers, and other people were accessing those via Ethernet cables that ran along into their buddy's house or wherever. Our off-grid internet works much like the internet from the days of old. Instead of logging into a website and waiting for a server respond, our server is locally hosted on a hard drive here. If you want to see what repositories are hosted on it, check out this video that I made here for a full list of the CyberDeck repositories. So let's take it back to off-grid internet. We can double-click a program and it'll launch a server. From there, we've got a full list of repositories, all of Wikipedia, a whole lot of medical information, entertainment such as 10,000 books and TED Talks and more. Via an internal modem, we can then share that information with people who we choose to give access to. So instead of running your Ethernet cable from your buddy's house into a server, I can just give you access to the password on my modem. And on your smartphone or your laptop, you can type in that password and have access to my entire localized server. Now, how this feature can be used is completely up to your creativity. I'll give a couple examples. Let's say your child has a research project for school, but you don't want them to just be willy-nilly on the internet. Set them up on the CyberDeck with the locally hosted server, and they can do their research project with all of the different available repositories on CyberDeck. As I mentioned, it has full Wikipedia, so there's a lot of information there that they can gather, and you can keep them protected from hackers, bad actors that want to influence your children. Let's talk about hackers. Now, a good hacker can hack into anything, and I'm not going to sit here and say that they can't. But what I can say is that when we're not connected to the internet, we cut off that bridge for them, making it much more difficult for them to be able to walk across and steal our data. Having your own off-grid internet is not only for peace of mind, but also for convenience. Let's say you have a Sprinter van. Let's say you have an off-grid cabin. Let's say you're going camping where there is no internet. You could research things like how to purify water, what types of edible plants are in your area, whether or not that word that your buddy's trying to play in Scrabble is actually a word. If you're stuck somewhere for a few days due to weather, you've got over 10,000 books to read, such as Tom Sawyer, Pride and Prejudice, Of Mice and Men, and lots of others beyond just literary classics. I'm going to let your imagination do the work for the rest of the reasons why having your own localized off-grid internet that you can share with other people around you be beneficial, but I think you're starting to get the idea. Moving on from that, we have SDR. SDR is a way for you to get radio frequencies that you can traditionally only get on a ham radio, but in a much wider band and in a much more usable feature on your desktop. At the beginning of the video, you saw me playing the Weather Channel. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association, also known as NOAA, broadcasts weather frequencies on radio waves throughout the United States and certain parts of the world. So we can talk about SDR using this one specific example where we plug in our SDR dongle and we attach our antenna and we dial in our one of 10 NOAA frequencies, and then we're able to listen to the weather around our area, giving us a better idea of how to plan, when we can move, when we shouldn't move, and all kinds of other things that weather gives you the ability to understand. Now, there's many other uses for SDR. I'll give you an example of something that one of my customers did. The local school bus route used unsecured radio waves to communicate what was going on with the children, who they were dropping off, where they were, Now, you can see that this is a glaring security issue, so the first thing they did was brought it up with the school board to try and get more secure radio systems to be used. But in the meantime, they monitored that frequency to know where their children were at on the route. Off-grid maps. I think this one's pretty self-explanatory. We use maps every day, and CyberDeck is no different. It has Google Points of Interest. It has the OpenStreetMap suite. It has satellite imagery. So you can use maps on CyberDeck the same way you would use maps with any other device that you have, only you don't need internet to do it. The last point I'll make is just the simplicity of the device. Oftentimes when things are simple, it creates unnecessary complexity because it requires our creativity to understand how something can be used. CyberDeck is a very simple device using old technology in a new way that we now value. After a pandemic, after infrastructure attacks, after people trying to come after our families and our children, CyberDeck gives us the ability to regain some of the independence and own the knowledge that we have access to on a day-to-day basis at our fingertips. What would I do without the internet? You don't really have to ask yourself that question anymore with CyberDeck because you have it in your pocket. You have maps in your pocket. You have radio waves in your pocket. You have weather in your pocket. And when I say pocket, of course, I'm assuming that you're wearing very large cargo pants because the CyberDeck comes in an 1150 Pelican case that's about this big. I hope that helps answer the question of what is it used for? And I hope you can now better see how it's used in your life or how it could be used in your life. I'll leave you with this. I was never really a tech guy. I was a regular guy just like anyone else who didn't really understand what a Raspberry Pi was and didn't really understand what Offgrid Internet was, and all of these things were really kind of confusing to me. What made me seek it out is the thought of not being able to have the information needed at my fingertips to be able to give birth to my son. You know what they say, necessity is the mother of invention. And my entire time creating this device, I thought, I bet there's a lot of other people that don't have the time or the access or the resources to make their own. So CyberDeck was set out for you and your families. CyberDeck was set up to make sure that you can survive in an austere condition. Thank you for watching the video. This video was brought to you by another person who was asking me good questions that I just didn't have concise answers for. So please continue to ask your questions in the comments, and I'll continue to make videos just like this, helping you understand how CyberDeck fits in your life, what it does, what it's for, and later on we'll get into some more detailed topics about programming and how to program your own. But if you don't want to program your own, you can buy the user interface and the operating system on my website right there. As always, thank you. Have a blessed day.